Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us this evening to learn more about our Master's in Professional Studies in Food Business. My name is Robert Tremblay. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions, and I will be your host this evening. We have a really special event tonight. We're actually going to be doing a live Q&A with some of our current students that are in the program, as well as the director of the program, Cathy Jorin. So I'd like to welcome our panelists here this evening. So Cathy, Heyman, and Asantewaa, if you want to turn on your cameras and unmute yourselves. Very excited to have you all here this evening to talk a little bit more about our Masters in Food Business.
Hi, good evening.
Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Robbie.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start off with some introductions. Cathy, if you'd like to introduce yourself to our audience.
Sure, happy to. Thank you so much. Happy to be here. My name is Cathy Jorin. I'm the Senior Director of the School of Graduate and Professional Studies at the Culinary Institute of America. And I have developed these programs with my colleagues beginning back in 2016, launching the first cohort of this particular program in fall of 2018. So we are excited to welcome the fifth cohort of this program in September of 2022. I've been with the CIA for over 25 years in a variety of capacities and am very excited to be in this position working with our graduate students and developing new graduate programs. So thank you for having me.
Yes, very happy to have you. Asantewaa, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and what you're currently doing professionally.
Okay, hi, my name is Asantewaa. Residing in Texas from South Sudan. I've been in the food industry since high school, academically. I'm currently working with Aramak as a lead cook. And I'm in the program on the product concept track. And I'm happy to be here today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Excited to have you. And then Heyman, you can introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and a little bit about your professional career as well.
Okay. Hello, my name is Hwang-kim, and you can just call me Min. I know my name is a little bit hard to pronounce. To make everybody easy, I reside in Los Angeles, California, and I'm a chef instructor in the community college here. It's been 7 to 8 years. And I also own a little coffee shop as well. So I'm partially business owner and partially like part-time worker.
Wonderful. That's definitely a lot on your plate. So we're excited to have you here tonight and having you in our program as well. So we'll dive into the first question, and this is definitely an important area of things. And I think, Cathy, it's probably best we start off with you and talking about what students can expect during their first year of the program, and just talking in general about what their classes are going to be and just what the overall experience should be like.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So the first experience that incoming students will have in the program will be an in-person residency at our California campus in Napa Valley called Copia. And that is an important aspect of this particular program. The residencies serve to help the students gather together and gel as a cohort, build a camaraderie, build a team, and be able to work well together throughout their online experience. We certainly have had cohorts over the last couple of years that have not had that opportunity, and we've been able to recreate that experience in an online environment. But whenever we can, we really like to have the residency in person. And at that residency, there are a variety of team building activities, introduction to faculty, and field trips, experiencing local products, and just the ambience of the local Napa Valley. Then there will be 2 semesters, fall and spring, of online coursework and 2 courses per semester for a total of 6 credits per semester. And those are, the first year is core courses, core curriculum that everyone takes together, including ethical leadership in the food business and food systems, introduction to food systems in the first semester. And in the second semester, a design thinking for food course, along with a business fundamentals course, which is primarily a finance course. So all really important courses to anyone entering the food industry, or even people who have been in the food industry and need some refreshers in these areas, but very focused on developing leaders, future leaders, and future change makers in the industry. You would need to think about managing your time, which is something we'll talk a lot about at the residency. This is one of the most critical pieces of entering this program as an online graduate student, because you will be adding 15 to 20 hours a week of work to your already busy schedule. It can certainly be done, and we're happy to help and advise on time management, but it's an important thing to be thinking about as you enter the fall semester for the program.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Asantewaa, if you can just kind of chime in on your experience over the course of the first year of the program. You know, Cathy highlighted some of the courses that are in there. What were a couple of your favorite courses, and talk a little bit about what you got out of the program for during the first year.
Oh, wow. That sounds so far, so wow, because I think all the courses was so interesting in different ways that at this stage we're in, you're like, what did I learn first year? Because everything is so much. I personally like design thinking, and I'm hoping to do that in my next job, because it does involve a lot in my track, which is product concept track. And I love the idea of trying to find different ways to find solutions. The first year was really, I mean, for us, we came in, I guess, at the height of COVID. So it was, I think a lot of people were going through changes in their life personally, and we all signed up for the program. And we got, like Cathy mentioned about camaraderie, even though we were online, we really quickly kind of build up a network with each other, connected on Facebook, Teams, like we were just so quick to connect, and we really supported each other. So I do agree that even if it's online, like finding people, connecting with your classmates will help you get through the course, especially on certain things you might have missed, or you're like, I don't understand this question. Our cohort was mixed with a lot of people from varying backgrounds and experiences. So that really, we have a lot of resources. Let me say they're resourceful, a resourceful group. So the first year, yes, it was grappling with the time. I actually kind of had I started with a morning system, like I'll wake up early and then study and then after work. But my advice would be, it's better to do it afterwards, because you need a break and then your mind is fresh. And I found out that even 2 hours a day, once I've refreshed, is better than trying to do it early morning. I'm tired, or after work straight away. And I'm not getting anything done. And then over the weekend, you are going to have to spend, really invest some time in it, And it's only 2 years. It seems really long, but it goes quite fast. So that's my take on the first year. And for me, it was really, I learned a lot over this year. Yeah. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And Min, if you can elaborate a little bit on, some of your favorite courses and your experience as well.
Sure. And for sure, as Cathy mentioned, lots of reading for the case studies and information about the industries. And you will learn how to think innovatively for the solutions about the problems you indicated. It's such a beautiful courses. And I agree with Asantewaa. I really enjoyed, especially the design thinking class. It was really good to learn how to approach to the problem, like with a different way. So that was really good. And during the first year, I feel like this program itself is designed to try to shape up like cohorts to get used to all the works you have to complete each week. So there's going to be a lot of homework, a lot of reading, but a lot of learning and information that it's very informative. So the first year, especially the first semester, like first 15 weeks, was the hardest period for me, since I was not familiar with all the vocabulary information and the format for the online class and those many weekly assignments. and so on. But they will introduce you different templates or programs that you can use for each assignment, which you will use it for the next year as well. So it's really good to like jump into the assignment or the reading or whatever lecture they provide for you to get all the helps.
That's great. It sounds like the first year really is about, stabilizing that foundation of how you're going to work through the rest of the program. So it's wonderful that you have those resources, and it sounds like you both had an amazing experience. And with that kind of lead in, now that you're kind of in the midst of it, we can talk a little bit about the experience of the second year, as well as the two program tracks. So Cathy, we can start with you on that, and in general terms, what they're going to experience during the second year, and also a little bit of detail about those two tracks that are offered.
Great. Okay, so at the conclusion of the second semester of online courses, you will have the requirement to attend another residency, this one taking place at the New York campus for just under a week. And that one will include special sessions of introductions to second year faculty, as well as the attendance at the Menus of Change, Sustainability, and Health focused conference that the CIA puts on for industry professionals, which in addition to allowing you to absorb all of that content, also allows you to network with the professionals that attend that conference. Then you'll have a little bit of a break and then delve into year 2 of the program. And year 2 will depend on which track that you've selected to take in the second year. And the choices are restaurant food service track for people who are interested in establishing a restaurant or any type of food service business, whether it's an entrepreneurial activity, or whether it's a project or business type program within a larger organization. So it doesn't have to be entrepreneurial. It could be what we call intrapreneurial, which is something that takes place within an organization if that fits your goal. But it's really about food service types of business. So it'll be, restaurant operations and marketing and branding for restaurants or food service. It will be a lot of legal courses in terms of real estate and partnerships and other legal foundational information, whether it has to do with HR or whether it has to do with IP. So you'll have a whole lot of those kinds of topics that you'll be delving into. On the other hand, if you're looking to launch a food product into a retail market, you would take a food product concept track. And in that one, again, you will have marketing related to launching a product and how to get it on shelves. You'll have a course on manufacturing, supply chain, co-packing, and a little bit of legal aspects related to that. You'll have sales, marketing, and distribution. And at the beginning of that track, you'll have a course called Concept Proving, Building, and Prototyping, where you actually sort of refine the product that you're looking to launch. And throughout the entire program, both first and second year, whether you come in with an idea or you're refining an idea, it will morph over the course of the 2 years until you get to what you're finally going to actually launch or actually present as a potential launch product or business.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we'll start with you, Min. In terms of your experience with the second year of the program, can you talk a little bit about what track you're in, and really how are those classes in your specific track kind of contributing to your goals specifically, and kind of your overall capstone and all of that. We'll talk about the capstone a little bit, but how are these classes directly affecting your goals?
Okay, so for me, I chose restaurant track because I wanted to learn more about the legal terms about the real estate or the business law for the restaurant business owner. So it comes with more learning for being an entrepreneur or a business owner. Lots of practical information that you should know before opening your own food service, such as how to read a contract, what kind of professionals you need to open your own business, and so on. So, and this program provided many interviews with professionals in different fields, like experts from insurance, real estate, or contractors, and et cetera, et cetera. So it really helped. It was really helpful for me to understand what do I need to prepare, what do I need to look at it. Of course, I do own a little business, but usually when we see the contract from the insurance or some others, we just sign it. We just to give a signature on whatever the paper, but we learn we shouldn't and what point we should check. It's not about you're becoming a lawyer, but it's more of becoming, like to indicate what's the problem, what's the, like the factor that you need to consider when you are actually looking for those experts. Yeah? And still lots of readings and homeworks, but I think it was worth to spend time to execute all those readings and lectures. And eventually you will do all the assignments and reading and other stuff faster after first year once you get used to the pattern of the course, I believe.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Asantewaa, can you kind of elaborate on, what track you're currently in and, the same type of thing? How are these classes in your track contributing towards your goals?
Okay. I'm in the product concept track. And the reason why I took it, it's just, I really love tinkering and developing new ideas. And so I knew that this was where I wanted to be. And the courses we took was sales and marketing. You had supply chain, which went into distribution. And that was really for me an eye opener because we really get to learn about the intricacies and details that go into it's almost like the behind the scenes. We're always excited about the branding, which we did as well, differentiation and branding and concept building. But what really matters is how are you going to get your products to your clients? And so a lot of us, I found out from our course, a lot of us are very marketing sales minded people, customer relations people. So even to the first year, a lot of the class, like a little bit in the fundamentals was like, oh my gosh, what are we supposed to do? Because we really just love to kind of relate with customers and so forth. So for me, it taught me a lot, refining my idea, branding, what will my product be? What message do I wanna, what's the message I want to give people? Even the name, which has changed. But this time, like I was telling Cathy earlier, the most important thing I'll say is know why you're doing this. Why do you want to start your company? If it's a restaurant or a product, some of the how will change, but if you know the why, so don't be stressed about changing the concept of how to deliver it throughout the course. Just know that, keep your mission at heart and be open to the changes because they want you to win and you want to win and you want to succeed. So be open to the changes and advice and it will take you a long way. Yeah. So
wonderful. That's tremendous advice. I love that comment. So thank you all for that injection to the second year. Now, this is probably a question that I get on a daily basis multiple times from prospective students, and I think we can kind of go straight to the mouths of those experiencing it right now. So let's talk a little bit about what a typical week is like in the online courses themselves and how rigorous is that work. So Min, let's start with you, and why don't you talk a little, I know you've mentioned it a little bit that there is a good amount of homework that you'll be completing, but take us through what a typical week has been like for you.
For me, it was pretty tough, like I mentioned, like especially during the first year. But I usually start my week to watch the lectures and read the readings that are assigned for the week. And it takes usually 1 or 2 days per class. So depending on your speed or readings. I mean, for me, I'm a slow reader. So I take a little bit more time for me, but still 1 or 2 days, and then go through the assignments and make a draft for each class and go back to the draft and revise the writing or whatever the format it requires. I spend average, I think, 2-3 hours a day for study each day for a week. But as I mentioned earlier, during the second year, since you will get to get used to the format of the course, you will catch what you need to do faster than the first year.
That's great. That evolution is so important in education, and I'm glad that you acknowledge that both of you have acknowledged just that growth that you go through in the program. It's an important piece to everything. So, Asantewaa, can you talk a little bit about your experience with what a typical week has been like, and also talk about what are some of the assignments that you've been getting on a week-by-week basis? What's some of the typical assignments?
Oh, typical assignments. Well, I agree with Heyman. I mean, I did the same, like 2 to 3 hours a day. And then I would normally clock in Saturdays and some Sundays as well. Because some things can happen in life. So sometimes I end up all Saturday. So I would say the past 2 years have been really devoted to the course as much as possible. Even like you would, because all of us are working. So some people are almost doing 3 things. You're working and then you're going to school and then you're like, I want to create this, build up this business that needs my time as well, So juggling those 3. I'm fortunate I don't have children, So I think my time is easier. For those who have children, it's going to be challenging too, but it's still important to invest that time. So 2 to 3 hours during the week, and then on the weekends, clock in as much time as you need. And the good thing is you can actually send them notification beforehand if you're delayed. So that was really quite helpful. Or even just explain your situation if you miss an assignment due to things that you couldn't handle. I think the faculty is really understanding if there's a good reason behind delays and so forth. What assignments? Well, which one was the busiest? I think first year we had like kind of quite a lot of things that came in at one time. And we're just like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm just gonna send it in. But most assignments is really about teaching us how to research what the industry is all about. And I like that, just kind of going out and learning from journals, the books, which we didn't even have to buy all of them. But don't rush to buy. Just ask first. And then also as watching the videos, I like the videos because it also brought a lot of industry leaders that were interviewed. Like we had the fellow from Mina Group, he was talking about his group, how he started it. So it's really good. Those to me really taught us like you need partnerships and how to run a real life business, Mm-hmm. The case studies, I love them. One of my favorite was the Noma one, because I love the idea of promoting regional cuisines. It taught me a lot. And it made me go seek new ideas on even just reading out of what we're given. But you're given so many resources, so don't try to seek outside sources first, because most of the time they want you to give feedback on what they've given you. And it's even better that way, so you don't have to go crazy and try to give like 10-page references. So, because in the beginning, I was kind of going out a lot, and then it's like, no, what did you learn from what we gave you? Because there's a reason why they're giving you those resources specifically. So yeah, that's just my experience, really. If you're passionate about what you want to do, you'll enjoy and learn a lot.
No, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Kathy, did you have anything you wanted to share?
Yeah, I did want to share a couple things. So the general format of the week-to-week work is that each module opens one at a time. So you're experiencing your assignments 1 week at a time generally. There are some classes where 2 or 3 weeks will open at a time. But generally, the content opens in a module or a week on a Friday afternoon, and assignments for that week are due the following Sunday, so 9 days later. So people have 2 weekends and a full week in between to work on assignments. We highly recommend for students to look at the assignments as quickly as they can when they open, so that they can ask questions early on if they have them and not wait until the last minute to ask the questions. Each module is based on a format of what we call view, read, do. And so there are elements to view, which is typically a lecture, a framing lecture, a content lecture, a guest speaker, perhaps something to view from a TED Talk or something else as well that's pertinent to the topic. And then there are readings, and as Asantewaa said, we don't have textbooks in these courses for the most part. There are readings that are downloadable PDFs, and they are case studies from Harvard Business Publications, which you will establish your own account at. And then there are a lot of downloadable resources from the CI library as well. But the other thing I wanted to mention is what both Heyman and Asantewaa said, about organizing their lives around this. It's really important when you're going through this program to have support from your family, from your work, from your external life, because you're busy, with work, with family, with whatever else you're doing, whether you already have a business like Heyman, and the commitment that you're making to school. So important to establish great relationships with those around you who can support you throughout the process of the program.
That's wonderful advice. I've heard you say that to me several times, Cathy, and I echo that as much as I can. So that's wonderful advice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Welcome.
So yeah, and so we've talked a little bit about the residency. So Cathy, I'll let you start off kind of, shaping these up a little bit, but there are 3 individual residencies that students will complete. They're required parts of the program. So Cathy, can you talk a little bit about, what each one of those are going to entail? I know that both of our students came in 2020, so things were a little bit different, but in terms of an in-person residency, what does that look like for our students?
So yes, as I mentioned, the first residency takes place at our Copia campus in Napa Valley, which this picture is a representation of. And that one is really focused on the team building and the receiving of information about skills and guidelines to help you get started in the program. So we do everything we can to give you as many tools and skills and mindsets to be able to be successful when you launch into the online version of this program. And again, a field trip to explore different foods, which we then discuss about, different kinds of products and these field trips are very pertinent to the topics of the program. And then finally, introduction to your first year faculty, either in person or virtually, depending on where they're located. And the second one is on the New York campus after the first year of online study, again with special presentations and lectures, and then the attendance at the Menus of Change conference. The other thing that takes place in that second residency is the first introduction to begin thinking about your final capstone project and the development of a capstone advisory committee. So we introduce that at that residency. The final residency takes place at the very end of the program after you've completed your capstone course back in Hyde Park again. And that one is a little bit of recap and a panel discussion with some investor experts, just to give you an idea of what investors are looking for when they're hearing presentations. So you can think about that as you go forward with your potential business. That's a virtual presentation with a variety of experts. And then the main piece of this final residency is everyone presenting their final capstone projects. And those are presented to your cohort members, to some faculty, and to potential other administrators and guests from around the CIA campus. Following that final presentation, the other wonderful element at that residency is the graduation ceremony. And that takes place in Hyde Park because it takes place in conjunction with our bachelor's degree students. So everyone in caps and gowns, a special receiving of your master's hood across the stage, and the whole pomp and circumstance that a in-person graduation at that campus provides, with the president, the deans, all of us administrators there to, congratulate you on your incredible achievement.
And I can say from experience that is a magical day, and I'm excited for Min and Asantewaa, sorry, Asantewaa, that's going to be a great experience for you both as well. Now, Asantewaa, for this question, I know, as we touched on, you guys started in 2020, so things were a little bit different when your residencies began. But can you talk a little bit about, some of the interpersonal connections that you were able to make, as a result of your residency experience with the rest of your cohort, and sort of how they've helped, expand your experience in the program?
Wow. How? I would say it's like summer camp. I don't know. It really helps you get to know each other, the residency, because the rest of the year we spend it by ourselves, we're not in class. So like I mentioned earlier, by the time we were done with the residency, we already created our teams group, and we've been communicating through there throughout the 2 years, and just sharing resources, asking for assistance, and even feedback on our courses. So we formed a study group, happy hour every Friday, actually. That was really productive. But on the second year, we stopped because we're in different cohorts and but it was really, people would show up on Friday for an hour and just kind of go through, share our assignments, like just talk about what did you find out about the reading of the week and what was challenging. So these are the valuable connections we made, and just the support network we built for each other. And yeah, that's what I could say. And it's important, besides just the network, I think just even meeting the lecturers face to face and really asking certain questions you have. So I think that was important. It gives you an idea like, oh, okay, I know what I'm getting, what's coming ahead for the semester. Yeah.
No, that's wonderful. And then Min, kind of the same area, that question, what is your experiences with the residencies been, and how have they helped your experience in the program as well?
Okay. First of all, I'm already jealous to hear about the residencies that they will have in person. I'm like, oh my God, it must be so nice, because unfortunately our residency were virtual and we didn't have a chance to get there in person together. But this residency, each residency provided the information for the next year's curriculum, plus the hints of the Capstone Project, which was really helpful. And at the same time, it gave us a chance to get to know each other a little bit better. Like as Asantewaa mentioned, for us, among cohorts, we use Microsoft Teams app so that we help each other communicate each other, or share the information they find about the courses, about the assignments, and it's really helpful for us to, so I think the communication is the key to survive this program, and it was really helpful. And then, yeah, if we had residency in person, we could have bonded each other a little bit more, but still we tried our best. And I believe our cohorts bonded really well together, having a happy hours, all those kind of stuff that Asantewaa already mentioned.
Great.
I do want to say that even with the online residencies, it was an immersive experience where everybody attended multiple days, all day kind of thing. So they had a lot of opportunity to connect. Yes, it wasn't the same as in person, but you all made the best of it, and it was really great. But I do want to say too that the cohort relationships are so important, because the cohorts are made up of people with a whole variety of backgrounds and experiences, and you will learn as much from each other as you will learn from all of us in administration and faculty. We have incredible faculty who are professionals in the industry, but the cohort members also have an amazing, valuable experiences to share with each other. So important to be a part of that network.
Definitely. Thank you both. Thank you all so much for that. That's, such incredible insight to such an important piece to the curriculum, and, just the overall experience for our students. And so kind of talking a little bit more about the Capstone Project, Cathy, I'll have you lead off with this and just talking in general. I know that we've been hinting at it and kind of, leaning towards it in some of our responses, but if you could just give kind of an overview of what the Capstone Project entails for our students and what the ultimate goal is.
Okay, so the final online course that you will take is a Capstone Project course, and that takes place in the summer semester of the second year. So from mid-April, basically, to the beginning of August. And that is the opportunity to refine your concept. There's some new information that is delivered in that Capstone course to help you refine your concept, your target audience, your financials, etc. But the goal of that course is really to put together your final playbook presentation, which is a PowerPoint presentation, very specifically laid out with the content that's required in it to develop basically an investor-ready presentation, not that it would be presented to investors in the program, but that you will present it to your faculty and administrators, and it would be ready to present to a potential investor in the future. So it's basically a business plan, complete business plan in a playbook format, which is a sort of a more modern version of a business plan in a PowerPoint format. That particular playbook is just the PowerPoint, but it will be delivered in a verbal presentation. Parts of it will be delivered in a verbal presentation in the final capstone residency.
Wonderful, thank you. So Asantewaa, I don't want you to give away all of your secrets or dive too deeply into the idea that you're developing, but can you talk a little bit about what this undertaking has been like for you, and maybe share a little bit of detail about what you're hoping to complete with for your capstone project?
It has been so what I would say that sometimes it seemed like we're doing a lot of repetition, but I've noticed that my idea has been refined through the different ways we've been asked to present it. So you might think that, oh, but I did that last semester or somehow, but you find that something has changed with your idea, or you found new knowledge, and so you're refining it as you go along. So the capstone is, I guess, bringing everything together that you've learned over the past year and a half or so, putting it together. And I think it'll be good to kind of take the two and see, like, what did my idea start with? I started with, I wanted a whole supermarket, like a market. So I started with so mine is always about African flavors, bringing it to the world, because I feel like our influences in the culinary world are lacking, not because we're not experts in cuisine, but because it's just always been catered towards, like in the academic area, it's mostly European, French cuisine, which has been the leading source. So so it started from that, and now it's to one product. And my committee chair said one. So I was like, okay, just spices, for example. And he's like, one spice, and narrow it down to a niche clientele. And I'm like, what? So from the market to now the product, and then narrowing it down. So it might seem like your concept or your idea has been totally shredded into pieces, but you can't market different products when you're starting out. You can't create 20 different products to start out. Even just trying to reiterate one product is challenging, has been a challenging adventure. So imagine trying to do 10 or something like that. So the capstone is really refining that and narrowing down. This is what I'm doing. This is who it's for, and this is what will benefit them, and this is how I'm gonna reach them. Yeah. So that's what I learned along the way, just narrowing and focusing. And the most difficult thing is to say no to all the other ideas. Yeah. Thank you. Good question.
Definitely. No, that was wonderful. And Min, talk a little bit about your experience. Obviously, you're doing the restaurant track, and so your experience might be a little bit different, but possibly a little bit the same as well. So if you can talk a little bit about your experience.
I think pretty much the same.
Mhm.
And the idea that I had at the beginning of this program when I started to enroll this program has been changed while going through each year for sure. And for me, I found some needs about the food service for the late night workers. It's transformed a little bit after that. So I'm working on it. I think the most challengeable thing for me is to separate my desire need from the actual consumer's desire, by having lots of interviews and researches while not losing my original missions as well. So that's one of the hardest parts for me still. And this course taught me how to do the proper research with the proper target audience and how to shape my value propositions for my business to my target. I think that was most valuable learning through this courses to shaping or revising my business without my stubbornness.
Yeah. No, those are all really great pieces of advice, and quite honestly, a learning curve for probably anybody in any situation is to not take too big a bite initially. So that's amazing to hear your transformations for both of your concepts so far, and I wish you both the best of luck with your presentations and completion of the program in a few months.
You can always expand, right? To start with one concept, you can always expand from there. Well, the other thing I want to mention is that we charge the students in this program to address a problem in the industry, to understand the challenges that our industry is facing, and think about ways to address and solve problems, solve needs, meet needs in the industry, whether it has to do with climate change or social justice or world cuisines or whatever it might be. But important to think about ways that your business can make an impact in the industry. And you can see from or hear from the two ladies that we've heard from today that they are both addressing a specific challenge in the industry. And sometimes people start thinking about all the things that we're facing in our industry with agricultural issues and like I mentioned, climate change, social justice, et cetera, whatever it might be. It becomes kind of overwhelming if you try and think about, oh, I need to address all of these things, but you don't. You need to find a passion about some challenge that meets your own personal needs and vision and mission as well, and address that in a local, regional, or global way, whatever works for you.
And I can add to that, as a CIA graduate myself, just hearing the stories and the ideas that come out of these programs on a yearly basis, it's truly inspiring. So keep up the good work, everyone, and I want to eat wherever you guys open. So. So this is definitely an important question. This is one that I get on a very regular basis through the admissions process. Students really want to know, what are the faculty for this program like, and really how accessible are they during your work in the program and on a weekly basis. So, we can start with you, Min. Can you just talk a little bit about your experience with our faculty and what that experience has been like?
All the professors we have, they were amazing. Like, they're very professional and they were in the field. So they give like practical, like, information or advice to you. And the communication wise, if you plan your study ahead of time, like as Cathy mentioned earlier, I don't think you will have any issues. Mostly we communicate through emails and they mostly respond to you within 1 or 2 days. But I think you still need to understand, not only you, but most of professors also have their own full-time duties. So give them some time, maybe a good option to have better accessibility to them. So because like Cathy mentioned, because the cycle of each module for the course is from Friday to Sunday night, I mean, they opened the next week's module on Friday a little bit early for you to start your assignment early. So it's really helpful to start everything early. That's what I like to say, to give your faculty the time to communicate with you.
That's great advice. And Asantewaa, can you elaborate on your experience with the faculty and what that's been like?
Like Heyman said, they're accessible. I think my challenge was that if you open the assignments late, it's really difficult to send an email on Friday and expect them to respond on Saturday or Friday and say, I need it for Sunday. So that would have been the challenge. So try to kind of get on it early. That's what I would do different. Or even just peruse through the assignment, like the assignment specifically, if you can't read everything and just say, okay, I don't understand this. Look through the course content and then reach out and say, hey, you said we should do this. I'm not understanding this very well. Then you'll have like timely feedback. But like they said, the time is just 1 week between the modules. So you really have that small window to reach out and have the feedback you need. Even though it's online, we have access 24/7. It doesn't mean that the lectures are online 24/7. That's something I felt like some of our colleagues kind of didn't understand. So yeah, so just be timely and they'll be able to help you as much as they can.
That's wonderful. And Cathy, if you can elaborate a little bit more on some of the specifics of our faculty members. I know something that CIA always prides itself on is bringing people to teach these courses that have that real industry experience and a real connection to the industry. So can you talk a little bit about some of the specific faculty that we have in this program?
Sure, thank you. Yes, and particularly for this program, because we wanted it to be a very practical, in addition to academic degree, we hand-selected our faculty with expertise in the specific areas that we're teaching. So for example, our food systems course is taught by a professor who is a food systems instructor or professor, as well as has his own businesses in this area from UC Davis, who we have a long-time connection with. And it's co-taught by another faculty member who also is working directly in a food systems position in a manufacturing company. Our design thinking for food course is taught by an expert in design thinking, which is a very unique and specific concept, a way of addressing different challenges. And she has expertise in design thinking, as well as having culinary background, and actually works in this field for Salesforce at this point. And our business fundamentals course is taught by a finance expert, so also working in the field of investment advising. So we have those people who have that expertise. We have an attorney who is also very involved in legal aspects with food companies, teaching both of our legal courses. A former restaurateur working in a finance firm, teaching all of our restaurant operations and management course, and a marketing expert who has also been involved in a lot of print communication, who's teaching in our our food service track. And then in the food product track, we have two people who are working for food companies who have both launched many different retail food products to the market. One is actually now also an independent consultant with her own business in that area. And in our manufacturing, co-packing, and supply chain, our faculty member has led global supply chain in two different large food, non-commercial food companies. And then our marketing and distribution and sales course, there are also, again, faculty who have worked directly in that area with a number of food-related clients. And the Capstone Project finally is co-taught by another person from an investment company who works directly with food products. So those are the kind of people that we hand select to teach.
Yeah.
And in addition to what our students here said, we try to organize what we call AMA, Ask Me Anything sessions with the faculty each semester, like twice a semester, where they will hold a sort of an open office hour live webinar that students are able to drop in and have a conversation with the faculty in a live format in those as a group. And that has been very well received. It's just typically there's a focus on the topic of discussion for those AMAs, but it's an opportunity to talk directly with them. And then the faculty members also do all have office hours if you need to sign up and speak directly with them during office hours.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's like I said, having been a graduate from CIM myself, the faculty members that our students have access to are world-class and have such amazing backgrounds in the world of food that it's really unparalleled.
Can I add one thing, if you don't mind?
Of course. I'll go back.
Because I had a frustrating, experience while setting the meeting, a virtual meeting with professor. Just indicate where they are at. Time zone, you have to indicate that one, because when we were talking about what time we are going to meet, we didn't think about where they are. I'm in California and one of our professor was in New York. So we didn't talk about where we were at, and we ended up to meet later, but at the same time, he had to wait 1 hour for me. I was so frustrated at it. Just be mindful about that one.
So true. I think for me, the challenge was, it was my first time to do the different time zones, even though I live. So I think that I remember getting an email from Andy. I'm like, I don't think she knows that I don't know the time zones, because they had different time zones for the residency. And I'm like, what does this mean? Because, so yeah, I think just ask for clarity, and also, yeah, be aware of the time zones, because we just have one time zone, like in South Sudan and in South Africa. So I wasn't like, oh, when she says, I'm like, what's PT? What is CST? What is EST? And so I go international, even though I reside here. I wouldn't, time zone difference was kind of an experience for me.
So it's
good advice.
Yes, very good advice. And so we'll move to our last formal question for our discussion tonight. And this is obviously, really specific for our two students right now. And Asantewaa, I'll have you kind of lead off, but what made you choose this program?
Like I said, I wanted to do food product track, and I had searched in line. It married both things I love, business and food. I had a catering company back home, but just to be able to connect those two is really amazing. Not a lot of, I don't know if there's another institution offering it, but not a lot or none. So, and when I looked through the course content, I was like, this is something I really wanted to learn. So it's challenging to find a course, a program that has everything you want. If you know what you want, and it has all the components you're looking for. Yeah, so for me, I knew this was the place, and I had wanted to apply I was thinking about it a year ago before I applied, which is 2019. And I just kind of said, I knew I was gonna attend it. And 2020 came. By the way, I applied really late, like the last week. The admissions office was so helpful. As an international student, they were really helpful through the process, because I'm international, but not, and the system wouldn't allow me to bypass certain things. And what was I forgot his name. I really have to thank him, because he came through at the last week. He was on vacation, and he just really helped me to register through the process. So they're very helpful in that, yeah.
It might have been Dan. Dan.
He understood my problem, because I was like, I'm not outside the country, but this is what I've studied, and this is, so I don't have to pay international fees, and just certain logistics that really takes a specific person to understand dealing with international students. Yeah, so they were really helpful. So yeah, I joined because the program appealed to what I want to do, and it has fulfilled most of the things I really hope to learn. Thank you.
Wonderful. And Min, if you can share with us what made you choose our program?
Well, I was looking for the master program related to the food business, and mostly there were other schools offering hospitality, which I was looking for is more like a business side, but I just didn't want to do just MBA. So once I found this program, I felt more attractive than others on it. And of course, because I'm also a business owner, so it seems to be more feasible and more practical for me. And of course, the CIA is one of the top culinary institutes, so I wanted to be involved into as well.
Great. Thank you all so much. Honestly, this has been great. I know that we do have one extra question that came in from the audience, and I think this is really for our two students, and the fact that, like, what is one thing that you wish you knew before you came into the program that would have been really helpful? So, Min, if you can lead that off, what's one thing that you wish you had known before you started the program?
That's a tough question. Maybe I'd like to say, actually, I didn't know if I need to choose the track, like restaurant or the food product at the beginning of the first. Before I started the program, I wish I knew it. I can think about it a little bit more, because both the tracks seem to be very attractive. I ended up to choose the restaurants, but I still want to come back to do the food product as well if I can. I will see, but that must be the most, the thing that I wish I knew earlier.
Wonderful. And Asantewaa, can you talk a little bit about that too?
Yeah, this is a difficult question. The one thing that comes to mind right now, and I'm sure I'll have other answers later once we're gone, it's just that I wish I knew. I keep thinking about accessibility to our faculty. I feel like I didn't utilize that as much to its maximum capacity. So I just wish I knew that, even if it wasn't about the assignment at hand, but just to really constantly just reach out and say, I'm struggling with this, or I'm working on this. What do you think about it? So just in hindsight, knowing that, hey, like, they're really here for you. Maybe because where I studied, like, I've just learned to just do it without faculty, so just, I wish I knew that I had like the full access to them and utilizing that as much as I could. Yeah.
No, that's a wonderful point. I think at the end of the day, it's always important to realize that this is an educational experience, and our faculty, like I've touched on a couple of times in my experience, it's they're here to teach and give you all the resources to the best of their ability. So that's a really great point to bring up. And once again, I really thank all of you for joining us this evening and for sharing your experiences with this program, sharing Cathy, sharing your detailed analysis of the program and really what it entails. And then, for both of our students, Min and Asantewaa, sorry, Asantewaa, that, this is really, about our students and about the experiences that you all are having over the 2 years of this program. So as I said before, I really hope that you have an amazing experience at the final residency, that your playbooks come through to the finish, and I wish you both the most of luck moving forward in your professional careers. But thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and it was a great experience. Thanks so much.
Thank you both, and thank you, Robert.
Yep. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.